candidates, Chris, that, they've got the win. But the reality is, when it comes to that general election, we see it in the debate, we see it in the appearance, they all move right back to the center. Everybody has done that because it is the center that tends to govern, and it's the center that wins elections. And so, Ted Cruz, I agree with the Republican to my left here. it's just a way to try to rally the base early.
Okay, let's talk about the other side, because there is sort of both sides doing this thing. Good for the goose, good for the gander. Yeah. Ralph Nader had some very strong words the other day about Hillary Clinton when he was asked about it. He warned Democrats not to, his word, coronate her in 2016. Here's Ralph.
Message and speak to the base at the moment that wants to hear a more fiery rhetoric out of their politicians. And you've seen Hillary try to fine-tune that message on the campaign trail in the recent weeks, going to the Senate battleground stage. Of course, she sort of stumbled on that issue when she talked about businesses and whether they create jobs. But that's something that she'll have to really deal with when she runs, because folks in her party want to hear her talk about that.
Let me go back to Liz. Is Hillary Clinton, where would you put her politically? I would say she's at least 2 notches to the right of Obama on foreign policy, security issues. She's much more hawkish than he is. I think I know that. On the domestic side, I think she's a notch or 2 to his right, if you go by the language the Clintons have used for years. People who work hard and play by the rules, making abortion safe, legal, and rare. Certainly the way they've sold themselves is moderate.
I think it's really important that people start distinguishing Bill Clinton from Hillary Clinton. When you actually go and you look at his political record versus her record in the Senate, there are actually some fairly major differences there. That's probably something that she's going to want to underline, actually, if she does run in the course of the primaries. But Bill Clinton, I think, is much more of a centrist than she is or has ever shown herself to be. But as far as the war record is concerned, yeah, you look at her Senate record, and she did have a pretty hawkish record. That being said, somebody who's been pretty critical of President Obama's ability to basically go and start wars and continue wars pretty much all over the map. She was his Secretary of State. At the end of the day, I'm not sure that there's as much daylight there as people want to pretend.
Yeah, but let's go back to your original question, and that is Ralph Nader. And, Ralph Nader's not even in the ballpark. I guess he doesn't have General Motors to kick around anymore. And I like Ralph. When I see him, we speak, we talk, we like to come up. But Ralph Nader, is just, he's saying things to get attention, because here we go, it's campaign season, and the reality is, he's right about this. I don't think she should be coronated. He's absolutely right, and I don't think she will be. But I also say this about Hillary Clinton, Chris, and I heard your show the other day, somebody made a baseball analogy about different kind of pitches, and I'm going to use a football analogy. She reminds me of the Denver quarterback, Peyton Manning. She calls those plays that she sees where she is, what the defense is doing, and she doesn't have a problem calling different plays depending on what audience, and that's what you're supposed to do this early in the campaign.
Boy, that sounds like Bill to me. That's Bill right there. When Cuomo was in the race, when Cuomo was in the race, he was off on the moderate side. The minute Cuomo pulled out, he went right into that position and forced Paul Tsongas over to that more moderate side. I saw his movement there. He moved his offense with the defense to the other side. Thank you. By the way, Roundtable's coming back with a real hot one. Up next, Democrats are raising the heat in the South, especially. They're trying to ignite a bigger African-American turnout come next Tuesday by waving the bloody shirts. That's an old phrase from the Civil War of Trayvon Martin and Ferguson. What happened out there? That's ahead. This is Hardball. The place is fun.
The rights in Ukraine are nearly non-existent, despite the nation's ties to the European Union. While the Employment Non-Discrimination Act still languishes on Capitol Hill, a new national survey shows that most Americans don't believe employers should discriminate against LGBT employees. Over half of U.S. adults feel if federal laws were expanded to include workplace protections for LGBT workers, that employers shouldn't be exempt from that law. Now, this is according to the latest Harris Out and Equal poll. However, when asked specifically, 35% of adults believe that churches should be exempt from a non-discrimination law. And among the poll's LGBT respondents, 30% would also consider declining a job promotion if it required them to transfer to a state without marriage equality. Here we go, perhaps the most buzzworthy news of the weekend. Number one, Apple CEO Tim Cook is officially out, becoming the biggest executive of a U.S. company to be openly gay. And the news was met with resounding applause. In an essay for Bloomberg Business Week, Cook wrote, "So let me be clear. I'm proud to be gay, and I consider being gay among the greatest gifts God has given me." Now, Cook's sexuality was something of an open secret in Silicon Valley for years, but he preferred to keep his personal life private until now. Cook took control of Apple in 2011 after Steve Jobs. He came to the company in 1998. Now, everyone from former President Bill Clinton to Facebook co-founder and chief executive Mark Zuckerberg praised Cook for this move, and his coming out is likely to have a major impact on the so-called pink ceiling in business. Cook also made news this week when he publicly criticized his home state of Alabama for its record on human rights. If you think we missed a great LGBT-related story this week, as always, you can weigh in on my Twitter account, @ThomasARoberts. Tell us some of the stories that you think we need to be covering. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you again next week.
Richard, you